to you with the Jungle Sejuani guide. Sejuani is a jungler that has fallen out of favor in a lot of circles, but I'm here today to show you how she can still be extremely effective even at very high elos. She's a great tank with tons of CC and mobility, and she's also one of the best counters in the game right now to a lot of the strong bruisers that you'll see constantly. Alright, so first things first, we'll go over runes, masteries, summoner spells, and basic item build for Sejuani. I like to run attack speed, marks, move speed, quintessences, armor yellows, and a mix of magic resist glyphs throughout scaling and flat. Some people like to run hybrid pen, marks. You can do that. Your clear is going to be a little bit slower and you won't, you'll get chunked quite a bit more by the jungle, so I prefer to take the attack speed, but that's up to you. I also like to have a page where I'm able to take cooldown reduction glyphs just in case the enemy team doesn't have any magic damage. For masteries, I run a pretty basic 9-21-0 page, just trying to maximize my tankiness while also getting a small boost in damage. Some games I might opt out of this if I feel like my team has a lot of damage, but this is the page that I usually run. For summoner spells, I like to run Flash, Smite. Sometimes you can run Ghost if you want, but overall I think that Flash is better and should be used in almost every situation. For the item set, it's a pretty basic jungler item set. You want to start with your machete, 5 pots, and a warding totem to ward for your lanes and ward your jungle early. And then you're going to try to rush out your Spirit of the Ancient Golem. This is the first buy that you really want to have. If you can't afford the ward and pots, that's okay, but you really want to be able to do that. After you rush your Spirit of the Ancient Golem, you can upgrade your boots. 90% of the time I'll go Ninja Tabby, but if I feel like I really need the Boots of Mobility because my lanes are getting crushed and I kind of just need to be everywhere, I will get the Boots of Mobility. They're kind of a desperation pickup though. After that, I like to pick up a Sunfire Cape if the enemy AD carry isn't too fed. If the enemy AD carry is really fed, I'll just skip the Sunfire Cape and go straight to Randuin's. After I do get that second item though, I like to get Randuin's Omen and Spirit Visage. Those are two of the strongest items in the game right now. And after that, you can just kind of throw in whatever you want for tankiness. If they have a lot of AoE magic damage, pick up Iron Solari. If you want CDR, you can go for the Frozen Heart. These are three kind of offensive items that you can pick up if you're really snowballing. They're not necessarily the best, but they can work. So that's the basics of the runes, mastery, summoner spells, and item sets for Sejuani.
Alright, so let's hop into a custom game and take a quick look at Sejuani's abilities. Her first Q ability is Arctic Assault, which is a short gap closer that knocks enemies up and does percentage damage. This is what you're going to max second in the jungle. So as you can see here, I'm going to close the gap on this and knock him up. And that's her Q ability. It's great for escaping or creating different gank routes, as well as gap closing. Her second ability, Flail of the Northern Winds, is an auto attack reset with an empowered second auto attack that does AoE magic damage. So what you want to do with this ability, it's very important to do the auto attack reset with it so you can get extra damage. So right after I auto attack him, I'm going to hit W again and get off 2 really fast auto attacks, and then it's going to do damage in an area of effect. My third ability is Permafrost. Permafrost has a great passive that it applies frost to enemies. Anytime you touch them with an ability or a basic attack, they're going to get frost, which can then be activated by using her E, which is going to cause them to take a ton of damage and also be slowed. This is what you're going to max first in the jungle. Some people will say W, but you really want to max E first in the jungle. So he has frost and he's going to be really slowed right there. So that's all there is to her E. And then her ultimate, Glacial Prison, is just basically like a Mumu ultimate that can be cast at range. It's a really incredible ability. So basically you just throw it and it's going to stun everyone in a huge area effect. Alright, so let's now take a first-hand look at how I play Sejuani in the jungle at a Diamond 1 level. So this game, I'm just about to start getting my buff, and I'm going to start out with W, and you'll see me do the auto attack reset that I was telling you about. It's very important. So I'm just going to grab my buff. Second, I'm going to take Q, and I'm going to make sure to run over to another camp before I go to get my other buff so that my smite will be back up. So yeah, I'm just going to keep plugging along. And then you can easily hop the wall here to save a little time. It's another nice trick you can do. So here, once I've grabbed both of my buffs, right here is where you really want to take a second and just look at the map. I don't see Riven here. I see her coming in here, but I also see that we have a Warwick, so I know that I really can't gank for a Warwick. He doesn't have any damage, he doesn't have any CC, so then immediately I'm going to look middle. And I see that Nidalee is pushed up against the champion with CC. So that's immediately just a trigger for me to head right over to mid lane. And I'm going to ping for the Veigar to land a stun. He's able to land a stun. And right here, I see her coming in. So I just really want to back out. You know, we got her flash for Ignite, and I'm okay with that personally. But sometimes you can't control what your teammates are going to do, so Veigar is going to flash in for that. But now he's in a really bad situation. Vi is charging up her Q, and one thing that you always want to do against a Vi is to try to block her Q if you can for a teammate. So right here you'll see that I kind of failed to do this. I don't know that it would have mattered, but you still want to practice that kind of a thing. So right here I'm trying to block her, but I fail, and Vi is able to pick up the kill. Okay, so a little bit of time has progressed in the game. Not a lot has happened. I've been able to pick up a kill. But right now I'm back in base and I want to look at where I should head. So I see that I'm almost level 6, and I also see that nobody for the enemy team is present in bot lane. Now that's a huge signal that they probably don't have wards up if they're just coming back to lane. Their wards have probably faded, or they might not have the best ward spots up. So I'm going to decide, I decide that I want to head bottom towards golems and pick up my level 6. So right here I'm level 6 and I'm just going to head bottom, assuming that they don't have any wards out yet. Now they have placed the one ward here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my bot lane and they're going to ping it for me. One thing that you always want to do, you want to know where every ward is, and you can always be asking your team, and it's just very, very vital. So I know that that isn't happening, so I'm just going to wait. I see that the tower is pushing this back, so I'm just going to wait for it. I know that Caitlyn's generally like to push the lane, and I know that my team isn't going to push the lane, so Caitlyn's just going to sit there auto-attacking, she Qs the wave, and that's just a beautiful thing for me, so I'm happy to wait a few seconds to get this gank off. They're even going to go in on Annie a little bit. And right here, so right there I had to Q in to get in range for my ultimate. That's not ideal. If you possibly can, you want to save your Q, but if it's the difference between getting in range and not getting in range, then you want to use it right away. So you'll see that because of that, we're able to pick up the kill on Caitlyn. And right here, this Lucian decides to get a little bit crazy. I'm not sure what his ability cooldowns are. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish him off really quickly or not. So what I'm going to do is I have turret aggro, and I'm just going to hit S. I'm going to stand there for a few shots and just tank it for him. Now I can't do this forever. I'm just going to take 2 shots and leave. See, I thought he would be out by now. He's kind of crazy. He's going for it, and he ends up dying. But that's another great thing that you can do as a tank. Alright, so now that you've seen kind of some of the basics of ganking with Sejuani, we really want to take a look at team fighting with Sejuani, because that's one of the most important things. She's an incredible team fighter. So we see that the enemy team here is taking a dragon. All 5 of us are here. Lucian's a little bit behind, but Sejuani is an absolute monster in early game team fights. I've just hit at level 11. I have a rank 2 ult. I just finished my Sunfire cape. I am ready to roll. So I'm going to just approach in as well as I can. And I Q in to try to get the smite, but I miss it. But it doesn't matter, I'm still going. I see this huge clump of guys right here, so I'm just going to throw my ult right at them. And this is going to be one of the most key things that you'll ever see about Sejuani. So I'm going to hit them all with my ult, and you can see the timers, right? You see these timers on the stun? So the thing that you really need to do with Sejuani is realize that your ultimate applies Frost. So that passive from your E, it applies it. So the second that these guys are done being stunned, I'm going to hit that E and slow them all. So not only are they going to be stunned for a long time, but the second they're out of that stun, they're going to be really, really slow. So right here, it runs out, hit the E, and the whole team is stunned and unable to move for the majority of this team fight. And that allows my team to just come in and clean up the whole fight. Alright, so let's take a look at one of the other things that makes Sejuani such an amazing champion in my eyes. So in solo queue, sometimes you feel like you can't carry and you can't force things and make the plays. With Sejuani, that's really not an issue. You can almost always force a fight. See, I see right now that Caitlyn is dead, and I just want to force an objective. I want to force a fight. I want to take any opportunity I can to grow our gold lead. So I'm just going to go in for it. Even though there's a tower there, I don't care. I'm just going to go for it. So I'm able to land ult on 2 people, pop my E, and we're able to just clean up the fight and take an advantage. If you'd been another champion without such a strong engage, you might not have been able to pick up such a big gain for your team. So let's take one final look at what I think is Sejuani's absolute greatest strength in League of Legends. So they've picked up a Baron, they're pushing on us, they've kind of come back in the game, and we're in a pretty tricky situation. But the power of Sejuani will carry us through. Yes, it will. So one of Sejuani's greatest strengths is her ability to absolutely demolish melee bruisers. So in this game, perfect examples would be things like Riven and Vi. They're both champions that want to dive, they want to get in, but they're going to be pretty easy for us to lock down. Things like Ahri or LeBlanc they're dive champions, but they can be really hard for us to lock down because we have kind of slow spells. It can be hard to land our spells, but on champions like this, it's really easy. So you can see right here, Veigar's going to go and get himself caught, but I'm going to land an ult onto their 3 melee champions. So Nidalee's here, Caitlyn's here. I'm not touching either of them, but that's okay because I'm so strong against these champions, and I know that my Lucian is going to be putting out more damage than their Caitlyn. So if we play it out, I'm able to do a huge amount of AoE damage to all of these champions. I can block, I'm keeping the Vi slowed, and then Warwick comes in and we're able to shut them down and clean up the rest of the fight. Alright, so let's take another look at just how much of a nuisance Sejuani can be to a melee bruiser. So my Shyvana has gotten herself into a tough situation this game. She's really low on life, so Renekton's kind of kicking her butt, but Sejuani is here to save the day again. So we're just going to roll this out a little bit. The Renekton thinks that he can get past me, but he is so very deceived. So she does that, I'm going to slow her, I'm going to keep her slowed, and just watch it how unable this Renekton is to do anything against me. So every time he tries to gap close, I follow with the Q or ult him, and I'm able to keep him permanently slowed. So that's really one of Sejuani's greatest strengths, you guys. You should always be looking for those melee bruisers when you pick Sejuani, and just make their lives a living hell. Alright, so that's going to wrap up my Jungle Sejuani guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something. Don't believe all those tier lists you see out there saying that Sejuani is a tier 3 jungler or anything like that. Sejuani is one of the absolute strongest tank CC bots in the game. Just remember to pull off those amazing bottom ganks with your ultimate and force fights all day long, push advantages, and make the bruisers cry and collect the elo.